sharing to live stream. Let me share my. Let me go and share. Okay. Hello, Lili. It's good to see you again.
Hi, Lynn. It's nice to catch up with you again on this live stream.
Yeah, and it's so fast. Another week just fly by, oh.
Yes.
How was your week?
I think it's really, really fast, and Christmas is coming, you know. I think, I don't know. I don't know how you feel, but wow, time just quickly, you know, just went by so quickly. Yeah.
With work, and then also must think about Christmas shopping. Now when I go outside, right, I hear all the Christmas jingles already. Yeah. That's the marketing. Wow.
Yeah, all the lights are, all the lightings are up already.
Right.
Very fast. One year after another. Really, really fast. Yeah.
Right. So without further ado, I think we will just hop on to our topic proper for today. And for those of our audience here who has not joined our Facebook group, Retire, Happy, Healthy and Wise, you can feel free to actually click on the link, which later I also post in the comments, so that you can join our group. So this group is really talking about how to retire happy, healthy, and wise, so that everybody learn together and we share each other's experiences for the best retirement for each of us. Okay, then so for retirement, retire in happiness, health, and wisdom. For today is our third session of this series, and we are going to touch on the third pillar, which is to retire wise with wisdom. Okay, so I actually did a very quick search, on what's the definition of wisdom. And according to Merriam-Webster dictionary, wisdom is knowledge that is gained by having many experiences in life. Yeah, so I think we create this page, this group is actually quite good, because it's with the hope of different people with different experiences to share. So collectively, we can also get the wisdom of the group. Okay, and yeah, for Wikipedia, right, the definition of wisdom is actually the ability to contemplate and act using knowledge, experience, and understanding with some insights lah. So I guess this actually comes with practice as well. And the good thing about this is nowhere in these dictionaries, right, says that wisdom is actually age related. Yeah, so that means to say, interestingly, somebody who is like age 20 can potentially be wiser than somebody who is age 35.
Right? Yes, certainly. It's not true.
By the dictionary definition. It's going by the dictionary definition lah. Yeah.
Yes,
but I guess there are certain real life cases and stories that we have come across that sometimes we also think that, hey, how come you're so old, but yet, you don't seem to act like, your age. Yeah. So maybe there is really some wisdom, some truth in this dictionary definitions. Yeah. And for this, right, I think it will lead on to some life experiences that we will have to share. So maybe Lili, right, I know that you are retired for a certain period of time. Okay. But yes, but now it's good lah. Now it's good that you have an opportunity to go back to the workforce to contribute your expertise. I think that's actually very good. Okay. So maybe your wisdom so far, your experiences in life, are you able to share with me and my audience here today?
Yes, certainly I can share. I can certainly share. But before I share, maybe if you're watching us live, right, maybe you can encourage us with your like or your love, like by clicking the like button, the love button, or if you really have some other topics that you want us to share down the road, right, you all can actually type in the chat as well, so we can pick it up and share as we go along. Okay, you mentioned about over here, income and spend wisely. Maybe what I can do is talk about spending wisely first. So, I mean, a lot of people, right, when we reach certain retirement age, let's say 55 in Singapore, especially in Singapore, we have a lump sum of money from CPF. And a lot of us really can't wait to withdraw the money. And once we withdraw the money, we start to spend away. But actually, it is really very dangerous if we have that kind of mentality. Maybe I could share, Lynn, you could let me share a slide on how it can impact you, you know, but if you were to just spend a couple of $100, yeah. So
yeah, I made you a host already.
Okay.
And I think you're
So
right.
let me see. I don't know. I'm not too sure. Can I share this slide at the moment? Can you see the slide?
I don't see a slide yet.
Hold on. Let me share
Okay,
first.
take your time.
Okay, maybe I just put here instead. Hold on.
Right. And what you
Let me
actually
share my slide. Okay.
raised earlier on spending wisely.
Can you all see this slide here?
Yeah, I think it's important. Yes, yes.
Okay, great. So I'm going to open up the slide a bit. Yeah. So if you see, like, right, let's say if you touch retirement 55 and then you just decide to withdraw only $5,000 to spend, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let's say that your $5,000 is from the special account, or let's say over here put MA, but no difference. Let's say I change it to a special account, right? So why I put special account or SA is because this attract 4% interest, right? So let's say if I were to withdraw 5,000 from special account versus if I were to put it in a bank, okay? Okay, sometimes some people say the CPF is a bit, you know, not safe, you know, the government will cheat your money.
Yeah.
But
I heard.
you know, we are wise people. We must make our own decision, lah. Okay, so let's say if you don't put in the bank, you spend the money away. That's it, gone. Okay, but it's not just $5,000 to spend. Imagine, let's say you put 5,000, take away 5,000, right? If you put in a bank at the end of 25 years, your 5,000 will grow by only $191. Okay, this is the total 25 years later. But if you were to keep the $5,000 untouched in your special account, look at it. 25 years later, it becomes 8.2K, which is actually grow by $3,200, which compare here and here, right? This two you compare with the bank is actually 58%. So if you had actually totally spend this $5,000 away, let's say you going, go for a holiday, then actually it is not spending 5,000 on only dollars, but more than that, because this $5,000 is cumulative over the year. I mean, basically what I'm trying to say is that it doesn't mean that you can go for holiday, this and that. No, but if you want to go for holidays, so spend your cash, hard whole cash, because your cash does not attract any interest. Yeah, it is, and the thing is that whatever cash you have, it's not going to grow in value. It can only decreases. So spend that versus taking the money from the special account. Similarly, let's say if you're not retired yet, let's say you are below 55 years old, and then you have some medical bill. I mean, the government actually allow us to use our MediSave account, right, to for our medical bill. So assuming you spend, let's say, $2,000, you just look at the table, yeah? If I spend $2,000, MediSave account is also 4%. You look at it, you don't just pay $2,000 once off, not once off, because once you take it out from your MediSave account, your $2,000 actually would be equals to 3.2K 25 years later. So actually, you don't just spend $2,000, but you actually are paying every year this amount, accumulative. That's why I always say that, yes, because of the compound interest, it's like you are paying the $2,000 many times over for the rest of your life. So let's say, for example, right, I want to increase this, right? Okay, I copy and I increase more, okay? You look at it, yeah. How much it becomes? Of course, this will be 26 lah,
Yeah.
Okay,
It
this will be
could
more.
potentially be like, in terms of percentage
Yeah.
wise, it's like,
Yes.
70%.
So that's why I always say that if you have cash, try to use your cash and minimize touching any form of investment that is actually bringing you returns, a quick returns. We're talking about bank. Yeah, okay, maybe you don't have cash, maybe you want to take money from the bank, but try not to touch the CPF money unnecessarily. So that's my take for spending wisely. Yeah. And another thing is, let's say if okay, like Lynn was saying, I kind of retired for a short period and I'm back to the workforce. Okay. My going back to the workforce is actually unplanned. It is like within a short period, I was back there, So the thing is that if you're able to work and people wants you, why not? Right. Rather than stay at home, um, idle your time away and not making income, unless you are making so-called money out of your time. Maybe you are actually into investment, this and that, that is totally fine. Yeah. But doesn't mean that you cannot invest even when you're working, because investment, at least to me, does not take a lot of time. Yeah. Working is another story. It is an additional form of income to supplement your other investment. So that's my take. And once you have actually so-called safe enough, in this case through CPF or through any form of investment, whether you want to work or not work later on after you retire, it is really up to you. You can actually have you can actually decide whether you want to go back and work and want to work for fun or just to pass time. Yeah. So really up to you. Yeah. Rather than having to work because you have no choice. So
Yeah, you're
that's
right,
why.
Lily. I think on
Correct.
this score, right, is when we start off with this page, right, retire happy, healthy,
Correct.
wise. We also want, people to be able to retire with options in life later, and not having to feel compelled that they have to, continue to work, and especially if they have to work in some occupation or some job capacity that they do not like. So
Correct.
yeah, so that is holistic retirement planning lah. Lily, if you could make me the host again, I could go back to the slide.
Yeah, you're the host already.
Thank you.
Okay.
So you have to stop share.
Okay.
Okay. So I think we are now back to the slide. Okay, so like what Lily is sharing just now, right? The spend wisely, not having to draw out the lump sum of money that you have. It's not just in Singapore on the CPF. I think a lot of countries, right, they actually have their own social security kind of safety nets. Even like for our Malaysian audience here, I know that they have the EPF. Yeah, so like what Lily say, right, don't be in a hurry to actually draw out, because that can actually be a very good safety net and buffer for you in
Yes.
later life. And also the income bit, right, which Lily also mentioned that we could always go back to the active workforce if let's say we have still have the years of experience and the skills that we could contribute to new companies. For example, nowadays we have a lot of startups, right? So the startups, maybe they will actually value, the experience skills. So I think that is good. But when we talk about, income, right, generation, I also know that a lot of people like to invest in the stock market, in options, things like that, right? Yeah. And which we are aware. And I think which is also good because just now, Lily has shown the compound table, right? So definitely, when you have a higher rate of return, it does help towards compounding your money. But one thing
Certainly.
that we probably want to let our audience know is when you invest in anything, you must be very careful to actually diversify
Yes.
properly, right?
Yes.
And do their risk management now.
Yes.
And if I may add on, I think in retirement life, before you even hit retirement, now that you're in this phase of planning retiring to retirement, right? So now you're in this phase, maybe it's good to also in your mind think of a spending pattern for yourself during your retirement years. Yeah, because I do think that you know, for people who are used to saving, right, when it comes to having to spend, then they are not so uh 不敢 they don't dare to really spend. Yeah, but actually this is actually my observation from talking to a few retirees. Yeah, in the course of my day job. Yeah, so so that's why, you know, I have this to share lor. Yeah, and then we also have a few more tips to go. Okay, like for example, how to build wisdom, right? One tip is to keep an open mind. Okay, so open mind would be things like you know, when new things come to your brain, don't cut it off lah, don't shoot it. So Lily, when you are back in the workforce, right, do you have to deal with youngsters,
Yes, of
young
course, of
colleagues?
course.
How do
Actually,
they,
you're right. To keep an open mind doesn't mean that when we reach certain age, we are wiser than anybody. Not necessary. There's a lot of things that you can learn from a young generation. Yeah. Certain things that they are very good at, we can learn if you are willing to learn. Yeah, of course, there are certain things that we can be better than them. So it's a mutual kind of learning platform where they learn from you and you can learn from them. So yeah, that's how we can gain our wisdom. Because like a Chinese saying, right? 活到老学到老. I mean, we have to continuously learn, not just at a work, but in everyday life, things that we're doing, or even knowledge, no. So yeah, that's what I can say. Yeah.
no, you're absolutely right. In fact, you know, just now when you mentioned about learning from the young and the young learning from the more experienced colleagues, right? It's more of like there's another Chinese saying, 取其精华. It's like,
Mm,
you know, taking the good, you know, from each other and
mm,
then learn from each other.
mm,
So I
mm,
think
mm.
that's important and it helps if you have an open mind. And
Correct,
then
correct.
this point number two, we've already covered to learn from as far as possible, you know, try to learn from knowledgeable people who can really have, who has walked the path or know something to be able to impart certain tips to us to learn more.
Correct. Perhaps I could share a bit about learning, right? I mean,
Mm,
when we also touch on the open mind, because if we have our mind is closed. For example, you just say, "Oh, I already know. I've been there, done that. Who are you to teach me?" Then we can never learn because our mind is already shut. Yep.
right.
But when we have our minds open, right, we are always open to learn new things. We are inquisitive, then there's always opportunity for you to learn something if you are willing and open about it. Yeah. So,
Mm.
mm,
No, no, I totally agree.
yeah,
And actually, yeah, I think open mind is the basis because when you are open
correct.
minded, right, then you won't feel as if like, you know, how come people look down on me or how come people think I do not know
Mm,
or you
mm,
know, why
mm,
must I learn from this and that. And then when you're
mm,
open mind, I think you're also more willing to share the knowledge with
correct.
others
Correct.
because you know when you share, I always think that it's a level up to learning on my own
Correct.
as well.
Totally agree with you. Yeah,
Mm.
because when you share, for you to share, you must be in that level to be able to share. Correct. And when you share, you start to know even a subject or whatever method even more in depth. Right. So like you said, one level up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so now we're actually sharing on retiring to retirement, you know. But I think at least for us, right, yourself, you know, you have been through it. So definitely you have some experiences to share. And then for myself, it's like, you know, I've worked with many different pre-retirees as well as retirees. So I know from their stories as well. So definitely there's also some, you know, wisdom in there and then some knowledge. It may not apply to everybody per se,
Correct.
but, you know,
Correct.
just be open-minded and just listen to what we have to share and then pick those that apply to you so that you know you will have a well prepared retirement life in time to come. Okay, and we are coming to the end of our Facebook Live already. Okay, so with this, we would like to give our audience here some more resources. There are free ebooks that you can go and download. And the first resource is actually 8 costly surprises of retirement. So very often, right, people may not know what are the costly surprises in retirement to prepare for. So this is where the ebook comes in handy to pick out some of the situation, so that, you know, if you're not retired yet, at least you can be well prepared. So this is written by myself. You can actually go and download and have a read. And then Lili has another ebook that is the top 10 stock screening strategies that make money. Wow, I think this one is also very good, right? For people who are in the stock market. Does it only apply to stock market, Lili? Or, you know, any investments?
It's more on the stock market. It's more on the stock market. That's why I call 10 stock screening strategy. Yeah.
So it doesn't
Yeah.
apply to other strategies like, for example, options.
No, not really. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that means this free gift will be for our group of audience who thinks that, you know, they want to do stock investment, or they're already in it, then they want to see what are the magic strategies that Lili has to share. So this is where you can go and download as well. Okay. And finally, before we end off for the session, if you have not joined our Facebook group yet, please go to this Facebook group, Retire, Happy, Healthy and Wise. This is where we post regularly some tips, you know, on how to retire happy, healthy and wise for our audience. And we also really want our audience to join us and share the individual retiring to retirement journey, what they are learning, right? Yeah.
Yes.
Because
Again, this is more like a community. There's online community, especially for the retirees, because sometimes, especially during this period, right, the COVID-19, where a lot of people are stuck at home, even they want to socialize, they can't socialize much. I know we are opening out a little bit here and there, but there's still a lot of constraint. So this is actually an online community where for the retirees, they can actually share what they like, what they enjoy, maybe their cooking, their lifestyle, their gardening, what have you, you know, as long as things that keep them active in the mind. It's a community for people to share. Yes. So just join us.
Yeah, I think that's good. So this is where I'm going to stop share screen. This is it that we have for today. Next Monday, 9 p.m., join us again as we revisit, you know, the first pillar of retirement, happy, healthy, and wise, which is the happiness part. Okay, so we will share a little bit more, and we definitely hope more people will be able to share with us their experience as well.
Thank you, everybody. Hope you have a nice day and a great day.